Yo, it's Fantasia. Welcome to my sewing channel, Sewing with Tay. If you're new here, this is your first time watching one of my videos, thank you. I really appreciate it. On my channel, the inclusive I like to make videos about sewing tools, sewing machines, sewing tutorial, things I'm making, my small business, my family, my gym life, my new hair, all of those things. So if those things are interesting to you, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting new videos. Today's video is about my serger. I have had a brother 1034D for a long time. I can't tell you how long I've had it. I'm going to say it has to be in at least 10 years. No, maybe 9, 8, somewhere around there. I've had it for a long time. I just replaced the blades for the first time like last year. This is one of my most used tools outside of my sewing machine in general. So today we're going to talk about the serger. I try to keep it sweet and to the point. So a serger is an overlock machine. It's also known, people also say over edge machine, overlock machine. It's kind of the same thing. It creates an overlock stitch. It can be used to seam things. It can be used to finish things. It can be used to hem things, and it can be used for decorative stitches. It also can be used for knits and wovens, but it's a great asset if you're planning on doing exclusively knit things. Very great tool for knit garments. It is very easy to use. At the end of this video, I will show you how to set it up, how to get it threaded and get it started. Do you need a serger as a beginner sewer or someone who's trying to improve the garments that they are sewing? No, you don't need a serger. Is it a nice to have? Absolutely. It could be perfect for making t-shirts versus using a zigzag stitch. It can hem garments for you. It can do a rolled hem. It can do a serge. It can do like a lettuce hem. There's so many different ways you can adjust the dials to get different types of results for hemming garments. I use it exclusively for knit fabrics, knit things like t-shirts, dresses, etc. It's a one stop where you can sew and finish your seam at the same time. I also really like to use this for my woven products, things that fray, things where the seams might need a little bit of extra support. An overlock over edge seam along your edges of your seam allowances or closing your seam allowances together. This machine does that. Also, this machine is really good at gathering. You can change your differential feed and your stitch length so it'll gather fabric for you. So if you're doing like tutus or skirts, this is great for that. I also just learned, I've never done this before up until recently, there's a foot that you can buy for this, and you can attach the foot and feed elastic into it, and it will sew the elastic very evenly onto your fabric for you and finishing the edge at the same time. And I've seen people do it, and I had never done it that way, but I finally decided to try it. I made a video about it, a short about it, so I'll tag it in the description so you can go see that too. Very easy. This thing has a lot of uses, and this is like my right hand man right here. But that's enough of looking at my face. So let's get into the machine. Let's talk about the different parts of the machines, and then let's talk about how to thread it. Because threading the machine, threading your serger can be very intimidating. I will say I went many years of being intimidated about threading my machine. And if you know how to sew on a regular stitch machine or lock stitch machine, you know you can pull like knot and pull your threads through to avoid having to rethread it. And like that was my go-to. And if a thread break, I would be like crushed, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And it just got to a point where I'm just like, yo, I don't got time to fret. I gotta get this machine threaded. And I just started doing it and doing it and doing it. And now it's not even a second thought if I have to rethread it. At this point, I usually just rethread it from scratch from the beginning. It's not that hard, and I was always so nervous about doing something wrong, especially I've learned how to use an industrial sewing machine, an industrial serger, and it's very intimidating. But once you get the hang of it, practice, like it's not even that big of a deal. It's nothing to fret over. So let's get into the parts of the machine. This up here is your thread guide. It holds your thread and guides them down. These here are also thread guides. These here are your tension disc. This is a solid 4. I tend to do 4 and 4.5 on these ones on the right side. This is the lower looper. This is the upper looper. These two here are your needles. And this here is your presser foot lever. Use that to lift your foot. Lift that down. Turn the light on here. The on switch is over here on the side. To get to the interior, it's very easy. Just pull that little tray out, push this out to the right. Here's all of your mechanisms, and you can see the directions are here, but we're going to go through all of these. Again, this outer one is your lower looper. This second one here is your upper looper. And we're always going to start right to left. We're going to thread this one first and work our way all the way over. This here is a pressure foot pressure. So if you need to address how much weight is on the presser foot here, you can adjust it by twisting this lefty loosely, righty tighty. You got your foot, and then you have your needles. And then on this side here, this is where we have all the adjustments. You have your differential feed, your stitch length. This here is your stitch width, and this down here is your knife lock, so that you can turn off the knife that will cut and clean the edge, or you can turn it back on. And that pretty much, friends, is the parts of the machine. Now let's get into threading. All right, let's crack her open again. So we're gonna take the tray out, I'm gonna pull down the door, and I filmed this before I filmed the other part, so I'm going to show you guys me taking out the threads. This is how I start over from scratch. I like to lift my foot and glide my scissors under the foot to pull the threads out, and I'm just gonna clip them. Once I get them clipped, then I just pull out the threads from the loopers, the upper and the lower looper, and the needles. Give everything a clean cut with my snips, and then I'm going to get started. Remember, always start with the cone all the way on the right side, which is the lower looper. The first step is putting it inside the thread guide clip that's here, and then you're going to put it in between the slit where the tension disc is. This is really important. You want to make sure that it goes all the way down to the back of that slit. So I hold it at the top and then I pull down just to make sure that it's all the way towards the back. You can never be too careful. All right, all the important hooks I'm going to tap just to make sure you're seeing them. So you're going to go through the first hook here. We're going to tap that one right there. That's 5. These things are numbered. So 6 and 7 is these hooks here. You want to go under them, and then there's an 8, which you go over. This part here is the tricky part. This is what has scared me for years until I finally got the hang of it. You have to pull out this little lever, and it's going to show a very little hook. You see where the blue arrow is now? And you're going to pull your thread around that little hook. That's the part that's difficult for me. And then you're going to push your lever back in, and right above it, there's a little bar. You're going to thread it front to back, and it's even really hard to see here, but you'll see me thread it front to back right there. So once you get that in, I started getting my nails done a couple months ago, so tweezers have become my best friend. So I take my tweezers and I pull that thread out, and now you're going to go under the upper looper to pull this to the back, because you don't want those two to get tangled up. I forgot to mention, I always take my foot off when I do this, and I forgot to take it off. So this is me removing the foot so that it's out the way and you can easily pull your threads to the back. Now we're going to move on to the upper looper, which is the second cone from the right. We are going to start off the same with the thread guide, making sure that it's tight in between the tension disc. And again, these steps are numbered, so we're going to go down to 5. This one has a 6, which is only one of these two hooks. You're going to go under one of them, and then it goes up to 7, and it goes over that hook. So now we're going to go over, and we're going to thread the upper looper. I'm going to turn the machine so a little bit closer so that you can see where I'm threading this. Right there, that little bar that's sticking up. You're going to thread it front to back, and if you need to, grab your tweezers but then you're going to pull it and then pull your threads underneath where the presser foot would be towards the back. Now this is the easy part. You just have to, again, hit the thread guides in between the tension disc, and then you're going to thread the needle. The third one from the right goes into the needle that is closest to the knife, and then we're going to do this all over again with the last cone, and the last cone goes into the first needle on the left. And once you do that, you want to triple check and make sure that none of your tension dials got changed, that it's still on 4, which is like a medium like level for you, or if you're going to do like a 4 and a 4.5, 5, kind of how I was telling you guys before. You always want to test your stitches to make sure that the tension is what you want it to be before you start sewing your actual garments. But here, this is me checking the tensions are looking good, and now the threads are all there. I'm going to put my foot back on, close it up, and to put the foot back on, you slide it under and hit the button on the back, it'll drop. Now pull your threads from the back to the left so that they're under the foot. You're going to put your foot down and hit the gas and make sure that your chains are actually looping. Now we are ready to test out some fabric. Here is some knit fabric that I already had, so I'm just going to run this through, make sure my stitches aren't breaking, that it isn't too tight, that I don't need to adjust anything. Always, 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 like the test your serger before you sew your actual. And y'all, that's pretty much it. So, once you get the tension correct, figuring out that lower looper, making sure the threads are in the right order, getting that tension correct, that's it. It just takes practice for real. Yeah, that's pretty much how you thread your machine. That's all the things that your machine can do. If you want me to go into detail on doing a rolled hem or the elastic more detail, leave me a comment below and we'll get into it. Again, I want to thank you very much for watching. I do have another similar video on a Coverstitch machine, which is also in addition to your sewing machine, but it does a little something different, and it gives you some different abilities to make quality and premium garments. So thanks so much for watching. Please ensure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and tell a friend to tell a friend to come learn how to sew with Tay. I appreciate you guys being here, but until next time, bye.